I've been listening to you, watching the same games you've been watching, but I have the nerve to say what's on my mind. It's time to listen. It's time to learn. It's time for All Andy Alfred. Starting now on Falcon Radio.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome in to All Andy Alfred right here on your internet home for me, ClayFan23. I am your host, Andy Alfred, welcoming you into the Man Cave Studios, welcoming you into this special edition of All Andy Alfred. This is going to be a three-part episode for you guys today. We're going to have Nick DeVera on the program this afternoon. He will be talking a little bit about the Hall of Fame. The Hall of Fame voting going on today. They'll be announced here at 2 o'clock, as well as breaking down the AL Central and also talking about the free agencies and what teams need to go pick up here in a little bit. We'll have Nick on here in just a little bit. Of course, tonight is a big game at the Stroh Center. Yours truly on the call for that one as BG takes on Eastern Michigan, wearing the Eastern Michigan green today, but also wearing it for the green and white of Michigan State. So we'll talk about that game, preview that game as well as when are they going to fire Nick Vitucci? It's just going to have to happen sooner or later for this Walleye team, and we'll discuss that a little bit more in the third part of our episode here. But let's get into what we have. We haven't been talking to you guys in a year, so let's talk about what happened during the bowl game situation. The MAC going 0-5 in bowl games. The Big Ten, 1 win. And that one true win was Michigan State. No, don't get me wrong. Nebraska, that win was very good. Don't get me wrong. It was a great win for Nebraska. 24-19 over Georgia. But overall, it was a bad day for the Big Ten. LSU loses to Iowa. You have Georgia losing to Nebraska, which is a good game, and then Wisconsin getting blown out by 10 over the Gamecocks. Give me a break. Michigan State was the only true story to that game, and Michigan State picks up a big 24-20 win, wins the Rose Bowl in Pasadena, as Michigan State continues their hot streak and continues going into this offseason with a Big Ten championship and a Big Ten win. So they're going to have a lot of heat going forward into the season. Now, what did I tell you guys when I went off the air in Bowling Green? What did I tell you? It was a lose-lose situation for Ohio State. And they lost. They lost a high-motor Clemson team, like I told you guys, will dominate. And they dominated very, very well. And they won 40-35. You know, it was a good game, but, you know, it's the Orange Bowl. Ohio State wasn't going to get anywhere anyway. But like I said, the MAC going 0-5 in bowl games is the big shock for me. Ball State losing to Arkansas State. That was a little bit of a that was not that big of a shock for me. How about this one for you guys? The fact that you know, Northern Illinois, who was highly ranked, loses to Utah State, who's only got 8 wins on the season. It was 21-14. And then Ohio getting blown out of the water by Eastern Carolina, 37-20. What did I tell you guys? UT fans, and I'm sorry to say this to you guys, you got screwed in the bowl game. The only person you can blame is yourself. Your team blew a chance to go to the Beef O'Brady Bowl game, to take Eastern Carolina, and probably give us a win in the MAC. But no, you lost your last game to Akron. That cost you. A 6-5 bowl team is different than a 7-4 bowl team. Just saying. And then the fact that, you know, Buffalo gets blown out of the water 49-24 to San Diego State in the Idaho Potato Bowl. That doesn't say a lot. But then our game, Bowling Green's game. Those kids, I gotta give them credit. They stayed with it. They stayed hungry. They stayed with the game. Forced a close one with Pitt, but Pitt was a little bit better by 3 points. So the MAC goes 0-5 in the bowl games. National championship game, that was plain and simple. I knew Florida State was going to win it, but I wasn't expecting it to be not that big of a win. I thought Winston would show up. He did show up late in the game. Stepped up to the plate. Auburn gave it a little bit of a run late. I will give them credit, but overall, 0-5 in the MAC, 1-5 for the Big Ten in bowl games. It's pathetic. It's pathetic. But like I've said, Michigan State, congratulations on the big bowl win and the Big Ten win, and last night proving yet again that they can win it down the stretch. Even though in that second half against Ohio State in the basketball game last night, Michigan State took on Ohio State at the Breslin Center in East Lansing. Very interesting to see how the developments will happen with Tom Izzo and Valentine. Valentine and him had a little bit of exchanging words. Izzo actually touching Valentine and like holding him for a little bit and telling him while he was sitting down, you have to control your game, you have to control the play, and he did that. He did that until he got fouled out. And when he got fouled out, you can tell that Ohio State made a charge. Michigan State, with 7:35 left to go in the game, had a 17-point lead. The Ohio State Buckeyes and Aaron Kraft cut that lead, tied the game up, forced overtime. Michigan State prevailed, though. Michigan State prevailed in overtime in that game. Appling had 20 points, 6 rebounds, 7 assists, 1 steal. Thompson for Ohio State had 18 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists. Aaron Kraft had a total of 9 points. And that's what Michigan State should do. They should hold their leading scorer and put man-to-man coverage on them. That was really very, very good. So was Ohio State's. So Michigan State getting the big win. They're 5th in the country. Ohio State 3rd in the country. Probably drop now in the predictions going forward in the game. Now, of course, like I've said before, I was on the broadcast this past Saturday as Bowling Green's women's team took on the Buffalo Bulls. Very interesting, good matchup that was, and Bowling Green prevailing in that victory. But I look forward to seeing what happens with this women's team going forward in this season. And I'm looking forward to seeing what the men's team looks like tonight, because after the performance I saw them play against North Dakota was very good. After the performance in the exhibition game against Malone College was good, I want to see what they look like in MAC play. And tonight they'll take on the Eastern Michigan Eagles. 7 o'clock tip. You can listen to that game on either on 1470 WLQR, or you can turn on to falconradio.org, WFAL, falconradio.org. Yours truly will be on the call for that broadcast with my broadcast partner, Chase Wilhelm. Tip-off is at 7. Pre-game is at 6:30. We'll talk a little bit about both teams, give you your stats of the day, and information and so much more. So stay with us on that broadcast. Like I said, pre-game tonight, 6:30, 7 o'clock tip at the Stroh Center, Bill Frack Court. Beautiful facility. And we'll see what happens with Bowling Green. And Lewis Orr and his club will be very interesting. I'll see how they look so far this season. Now, the NFL. Why? We have to blow Lions fans. Oh, God. The firing of Jim Schwartz, it's a good idea. It was a great idea. But going after Bill Delvecchia from Houston, who only gave him 2 wins last year? What are the Fords thinking? You gotta be kidding me! Again, I will state it again. I think the great selection for the Lions going forward in the coaching rankings, Tony Dungy. He wants to coach the team. He said it himself. And they are a quality playoff contending team. With Stafford, Johnson, that defensive core, with Sue, Averill, Burleson. What? This team can make the playoffs. They should have made the playoffs. They should have made the playoffs. And what did they do? Choked it. Let Green Bay walk in to freaking Soldier Field on the last day of the season and win the game. They got eliminated by the 49ers. Thank God! So, but my prediction for the season, with Denver and Seattle winning it, still in contention. Still in contention. Denver's a very good club. We'll see what they look like this week against the Chargers. It will be interesting. I mean, the Seahawks have got an interesting battle with New Orleans, of course. And you can't count out Tom Brady and the Patriots in that AFC. You can't count them out yet. They're going to face a very good team. But as a Lions fan, that just killed me. And you know what killed me even more? Is that the Three Stooges in Cleveland are a bunch of idiots. You fired Chazinski after one season. 4-12. And you're going to go after Josh McDaniels? You gotta be kidding me. If he wanted him from the beginning, you should have got him! You should have offered! But time and time and time and time again, this will be the 8th coach in the 16 seasons that the Browns have been back. The 8th coach. You gotta be kidding me. Firing a Chud was horrible. And the Haslams and Banner, oh God, they gotta get them. They gotta go. I hope that Flying J thing happens soon. Plain and simple. And who are you going to go after to coach the Browns? I mean, McDaniels doesn't really want to do it. And you don't have any talent to be there. Sure, you have a lot of picks in the draft. But are these picks going to show up? No, they're not. They're not going to show up. It'll be very interesting to see how the Browns will go after and hire a coach. It will be very, very interesting. Say enough that the Lions have to go after a new coach. You know, there's 4 vacancies left in the coaching realm. It'll be very, very interesting to say the least. And before I bring Nick DeVera into the program today, I want to talk a little bit about baseball so far. You know, the Hall of Fame ballot and the Hall of Fame class will be announced today. Joe Torre, Bobby Cox, and Tony La Russa automatic into the Hall of Fame. So congratulations to them. Congratulations to them. I think Frank Thomas and Craig Biggio should be in the Hall of Fame in this class. I do not think that the steroids era crew should be in. That means Clemens, McGuire, Sosa. When Griffey gets on the ballot, he will be a first ballot Hall of Famer. I guarantee it. Because he is a solid baseball player, and injuries killed his career. Jack Morris should be in the Hall of Fame this year too. I'll put him on the ballot. That'll be 3. Be very interesting to see how. It'll be very interesting to see how the ballots will turn out. We'll ask Nick DeVera that question too. We'll ask him what his Hall of Fame ballot should be as well too. And we'll have Nick on here in just a little bit. here on All Andy Alfred, right here on Clay Fan 2, 3. Coming up next. See you in a little bit.